Guys, I found this article in the Western Standard. Now, it wasn't behind a paywall, so I'm going to share it here. And it's very, very telling, very important that we look at things like this before we make, even liberals or conservatives or NDP or anyone, we really should be looking at things like this before casting a vote on, well, basically the rest of our lives and how we can express ourselves in Canada, a supposedly free country. I first saw this on a local Facebook group, a freedom of speech Facebook group, and it said on that group, Prime Minister Mark Carney says a re-elected Liberal government will move forward with new regulations targeting harmful online content, making a third attempt to legislate internet speech in Canada. Carney vows to push for internet censorship. Yeah, so let's dig deeper into that article. Now, this article comes from the Western Standard, okay? And it's Carney vows to push for internet censorship. Blacklock's reporter says Carney made the comments during a campaign rally in Hamilton. It was when he was in Hamilton that he said this. I think it says here, after being interrupted by hecklers. Yeah, he got heckled and then he came out with this. There are many serious issues that we're dealing with, he said. One of them is the sea of misogyny, anti-Semitism, hatred and conspiracy theories. This sort of pollution online that washes over our virtual borders from the United States. While Carney said he could tolerate conspiracy theories directed at him personally, which he can't, he emphasised their broader danger to Canadian society. So apparently it's okay to do hate speech and everything on the streets every weekend if you're holding a different country's flag. But if you do it, let's not say it's hate speech, let's say what we could get down to is questioning the government in Canada about what they're doing. They could call that hate speech, which, yeah, it's whoever's calling it out, they could call anything hate speech because, well, you hate the government. No, I don't hate the government. I just don't like them stopping me from talking about their ludicrous EV car mandates or their puberty blockers and stuff like that. I don't want that and indoctrinating kids in school. I don't think the government should be doing that. The more serious thing is when it affects how people behave. When Canadians are threatened going to their community centres or their places of worship or their school, or God forbid when it affects our children, he said. Yeah, this does affect our children. They're being taught all this woke ideologies in school, right, by school teachers who are pushing the liberal narrative. That's what we hear. And the only way we hear about it is when we go online and we read about it independently, because the CBC and the local newses and the mainstream media, the legacy media, won't report on anything like that because it's just not. Well, they would call it a racist report, and it isn't. It is not a racist report. It's the truth. It's what's going on in Canada, and we'd really like to know what's going on in Canada. On a daily basis, thank you, Mr. Carney. My government, if we were elected, will be taking action. Why does the government need to be in our lives all the time like that? Why does it insist on telling people what they should think? Just look at the UK now, as it is. I can't talk much about the UK or show anything about the UK, but do your own homework and see where that country's gone at the moment. And that's what this guy, Carney, wants for Canada. Obviously, he has close ties with the UK and he's working closely with them and the EU. He even flew over there. The first thing he did when he was, I can't say elected, when he was selected for PM, is he went over there. That's the first thing he did. He didn't go down to talk about tariffs or anything. He went straight to the EU and said, "Hey, we're going to be like you soon." No, thank you. Carney did not offer specific details on what new legislation might look like. Hate speech is already illegal in Canada under amendments to the Criminal Code introduced in 1970. So why do we need it? We already have a hate speech law that, saying that, we have a hate speech law that was introduced in 1970 that nobody's using. Like these weekly parades up and down our cities in Canada with hate speech in them. Nobody's using nobody's using the laws we have now to to desist those parades, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean. The Liberal government has twice attempted to pass laws that would allow the regulation of certain forms of legal online content. So they make legal online content illegal, like they make legal guns illegal overnight, making criminals out of PAL owners, and probably making criminals out of people like me and Unacceptable Fringe and Clyde and everyone who just report the truth. It's here. It's written down. It's the truth. We don't make things up. The thing is about social media and little channels like this is we can't afford to make things up and lie. You know, we might get the odd thing wrong, but we won't lie and we won't miss out things that shouldn't that could be really important. That's the difference between a small social media channel and a big legacy media channel that can just say whatever it wants and push the narrative of the Liberal government. The most recent proposal, Bill C-63, an act to enact the Online Harms Act, sought to crack down on content considered likely to foment detestation and vilification of individuals or groups. It would have empowered the Canadian Human Rights Commission to investigate related complaints. The bill failed to pass second reading before Parliament was prorogued on January the 6th. So we haven't even had a government in Parliament since January the 6th. We haven't had a government for 3 months. We seem to be doing okay without the government's boot on our necks. Former Heritage Minister Pascal St. Orange, said earlier this year that government remained committed to addressing online discourse. Addressing on discourse. Let's call it discourse. Let's rephrase that. This Heritage Minister earlier this year said that his Liberal government is committed to address online discussion. That's what that paragraph says. We don't want online discussion. I'm sorry. Online discussion will be banned in Canada if Carney becomes elected in the next election. We are in challenging times right now, she said. On February 20th, respect is lacking in public discussion. Misinformation circulates easier than facts. Debating is being monetized by algorithms and social media. Misinformation is being circulated by legacy media, the CBC, the paid media that the government is fronting. The Liberal government has not yet specified how much it would spend on future efforts to regulate digital content. No, what's it going to cost? We're going to be literally paying for the government to censor us.